look back on the past month and year and decade and a half of my life, I don't find myself dwelling on the details. When I think about the things that have affected me, the things that have truly changed me, I think about my role models. The people and ideas that reached deep in me and moved something. When I look back, I think about the people I changed for, the people I was a role model to, the people that depended on me and continue to depend on me. Role models shape who we are. Here are some of mine and how they shaped me. For me, the most important role is that of an older sister. When we were young kids, my little brother and I would watch a TV show about magic called Wizards of Waverly Place. I loved the main character, Alex, and after a while, I started to model myself after her. I walked like her, I wore sparkly shirts like her, and I talked like her. Soon, so did Truman. Every time I would say a catchphrase from the show, a few minutes later, so would he. Eventually, this started to get on my dad's nerves. The character is sassy and annoying at best, and he did not appreciate that there was now 2 small monsters in his house telling him he needed to shape up, buddy. So, he pulled me into my room to talk, and I was really angry because I thought I was getting in trouble, and he wasn't. He sat me down, looked me in the eyes, and explained to me, in simpler language, a truth about the life that I was going to lead. I have a big responsibility. The person I am and the person I will become will forever shape the person that Truman will be. I have immense influence. I am the person that he looks up to the most. So the choice was mine. Am I someone who takes advantage of that kind of trust? Do I not care enough to try? Or do I rise to the occasion and build myself into a role model that he can be proud of? I felt that role deep in my bones. It changed who I was, and it made me better. It made me not only build myself, but work to build my relationship with my little brother. I have now built myself into a person that he can be proud of, and I am a big part of his support system. Now, on the other hand, because my older brother is 7 years older than me, he did not shape me the same way that I shaped Truman. He took advantage of the trust and admiration that I had for him and made me someone who was desperate for approval, for someone to be proud of me. Because of this, I clung to my parents for everything. My moral compass, for advice, for even music sense. I believe that's why when I think about myself between the ages of 8 and 11, the memories that come to mind are that of my dad and the lessons that he taught me. I remember when I was around 10 or 11, I couldn't sleep. I heard the sound of the TV, so I stepped out of my room, and I saw my dad sitting on the floor, leaning against the couch, looking up at the TV intently. Faintly, I could hear Barack Obama's voice rumbling out of the speakers. When he noticed me, my dad called me over, and I sat next to him, looking up at the 400-pound box, and he said, "Olivia, listen to this." It was Obama's speech on August 23rd, 2013, the 50th year anniversary of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech in 1963. Obama spoke, "The moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice." My dad stopped the TV, looked me in the eye, and said, "You can bend the arc, Zaza." I had never felt so small and so powerful at the same time. That was not the first time or the last time my dad sat with me until the early morning talking about what it means to be human. He is my role model, and he makes me want to bend the arc towards justice. Now that I'm a little bit older, I'm becoming more independent. I'm learning more from my mom. My whole life, I've been so excited to learn and to try new things that I never take the chance to step back and listen to others. From her, I've learned how to be kind, to listen, to be compassionate, and most importantly, to be strong. She and I do a very intense version of karate together, and one part of it is called special training. It is 20 hours of intense practice within the span of 2.5 days. It is extremely difficult, and its purpose is to show you that your mind is stronger than your body. No one under 16 is allowed to participate, and last year, only a couple days after my 16th birthday, we went to special training. One of the practices is called kibirachi. At 5 in the morning, all of the members under the age of 40 gather in a circle and sink down into a deep squat. Across the circle, I locked eyes with another member, the only female fighter on the U.S. team, Ariel. She is very good and has done many special trainings before and sank down very low. Because I'm the person in charge of making sure she doesn't stand or fall, and she is to me, I sunk down to match her, which was my big mistake. I had not practiced to go that low, and it felt like I had been going for 2 hours when it was only 10 minutes through. I didn't think that I could make it. But after a half an hour, everyone over 40 joins the circle, and I saw my mom over Ariel's shoulder, with her eyebrows pushed together and her mouth tight. She looks at me and mouths the words, "Be strong." My mom is the strongest person I know and has proved to me dozens of times that I have that same strength in me. My mom is who I think of when I face a challenge, when I get frustrated, and when I want to give up. She would never let anything stop her, and neither will I. So when I was sitting at the computer, thinking about how my internship has changed me, I came up blank. I thought, but internship felt too short to talk about growth. But soon I started to realize that real growth is not about numbers on a paper, or a grade, or approval from other people. At the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters is the effect that you have on others and the lives that you touched and made better. The people that you inspired, or helped, or comforted. That's what being a role model is. When I reflect on my internship experience here in Denmark, the thing I value the most is the effect that I had on the kids here. Every time I made them laugh, or learn something new, or change their perspective on Americans, I felt that growth. When I stood in front of the 4 Leaps Patrol members and talked about something that I care so much about, and heard them listen to what I had to say, I felt that growth. I felt myself becoming the role model that I know I can be, the same person that I saw in my mom and my dad and Obama. The person that is not afraid to stick up for what they believe in, who is curious, who's excited to learn and try new things. I believe the biggest way that internship, and particularly this POL, has changed me is giving me the chance to view my life from a different perspective. That perspective has shown me how much I've grown throughout my life and has made me acknowledge this change that has been happening for a long time. Thank you. There's one last thing. That's the end of the TED Talk part, but I have to explain why I think that this is a good format for me and why I chose this. So I believe that the TED Talk is a good format. Is an interesting way to reflect because it forces the presenter to think carefully about what they say and do. The audience is focused completely on you and not any presentation, so you have to be prepared, engaged, and extremely familiar with your content. I believe using this format to reflect on role models is particularly effective because reflecting on what it means to be a role model is both looking back and looking forward in your life. If the presenter gives enough detail, all the requirements of a POL are met. Goals for the future, improvements that could be made, things that you're doing well, and etc. In-depth reflection centers the mind and helps process the year in a more meaningful way, and I believe that role models is a great way to do that. All right, thank you. Sorry, forgot about the questions. Don't mark that wrong. Yeah.
So, Olivia, I really liked your presentation. Do you think you will be able to apply some of your experience here to others when you go back to kind of be a role model to some of your fellow students at home?
Absolutely. And I think some things that I actually didn't put in my presentation is stuff that I've learned from you guys, like from the teachers here, not just reflecting on myself and learning from that reflection, but also like the concrete things I learned from the people here, like from Law and from Lonnie, and especially from Kaya, because she's also my host mom, and she teaches me every day about, hey, I didn't want to cry, about being a person that can relate to other people. And so I think going back to the US, a more informed and aware and well-rounded person will make the lives of people who are around me easier and allow me to help other people in a more effective way. So I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah.
Can you give us one specific thing that you definitely want to bring back, or that you want to try to implement?
Well, there is actually one concrete thing. The helping create the Leaps Patrol was a really interesting experience, no matter how short of a time we did have with them, because I'm a head ambassador at my school, which is it's what we call Leaps Patrol in the US. And my big project for like the coming year is trying to create an ambassadors program for the younger grades. And that's going to be really difficult for me. And seeing the challenges that Gigi and Julia and I faced when trying to create this version of ambassadors has definitely opened my eyes to different curveballs that might be thrown at me when I try and create something like it at home. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Yes.
No?
I was just gonna say. Okay.
You got to give us think time. Like,
Think time. Okay. In the video, it'd just be like 30 seconds of crickets. Yeah?
Can I? Just a question. You chose to come from a very large country to a country in Europe that has, what, a quarter of the population of LA? That's small. Have we changed the way that you, or the perception that you had of Europe or Europeans in any way, or what was your perception? Did we live up to it, or?
Can I be like frighteningly honest with
Yes.
you? I did not know where Denmark was before.
Not a surprise.
And so, just, it's like, it made me think about like what it means to be an American, and that, like, focus on what's only around me. And I've always been someone who loves to travel and is interested in other people and places, but I did not realize how short-sighted and closed-minded I was until I spent a long period of time in a place I wasn't comfortable with. And just seeing and feeling the small differences from Denmark to the US, not even like the language, little things like the light switches and like the metric system, like they make it very clear to me that this is different, and it opens my eyes to it. The world isn't fashioned for me, you know, I adapt to the world and where I go, and I make myself fit there. I don't make the world fit to me, you know. So.
Has it changed the view of you of being an American? I mean, or the way you look of American and your followers in America?
I wouldn't say it changes. It has made me more aware, and I think it has made me like a more interesting person, just because like I care more about what's going on outside of my little bubble, and I think that's different from a vast majority of Americans, but I wouldn't say that it's changed my perspective on Americans in general. Does that make sense? Okay.
So in your talk, you mentioned that having an impact on the Leaps Patrol and being a role model for them was something that was important to you. So moving forward, let's say 2 years, when those Leaps Patrol students are getting ready for a gymnasium and whatnot, what would you want, if you were able to come back in 2 years, what would you like to see, or what's your hope and what's your vision for them? Going forward?
The reason why I was so excited about this internship is because it feels like it was fashioned really well for me. I have been doing ambassadors for 7 years now, and I care a lot about the program. And so the fact that Law said that we would be helping create this program made me so excited, because I wanted to tell them all the things that I didn't know going into it. And I wanted to, I wanted to tell them everything, and I wanted to express how much it had helped me and how many opportunities and how much just growth that the program has given me. And so I would say my biggest hope for them is that they find that, they find that they learn and get something out of the program more than just a tick on their resume for gymnasium. I hope that they get so good at it that they want to help the younger grades to become Leaps Patrol too. And I hope that they use the program to build themselves into better people.
Is there anything in particular that you take home about the Danish school system as being particularly good that you would like in your school system, or that you definitely wouldn't like, that you are pleased to say goodbye to?
Well, I don't think that there's a lot I can change about this right now, but the language program here is so amazing and so interesting, and it makes me so jealous. And I wish that I had grown up with that, because there's special schools in the US that are just immersion schools where you're learning 2 languages at once. But here, that's just ingrained, with 3 languages, and that's at the basic, that's square one, So I wish that I could take that back to the US and have all of the language programs here work the same way that they do in the US. But I think because of the unique position of Denmark and the necessity of other languages, because Denmark is so small, it puts you guys in an interesting position, and I'm jealous of that. The US is too big for multiple languages. So, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about why you gravitated toward ambassadors in high tech?
That's a hard question to answer. I would say the honest answer is because I've always felt more comfortable around adults, because it's been a struggle for me to relate to people my own age. And when I transferred as a kid into the PBL system, it was so great for me, and I learned so much from it, and I wanted other people to have that same opportunity. And talking about something that I care about and that I know about is really fun for me, and if I can impress adults with it too, then that would be even more fun, So it started off as that, and then as I got older, I started to realize the real benefits that I'm gaining from this, and the real reason why that they have these programs in the high-tech system, because it's not so that when teachers come that they have a cute little kid to take them on a tour. It's helping the kids do the most high-tech high thing that there is present constantly. 2 times a week I'm presenting for an hour to groups of people ranging from 2 people to 65 people, and that has really made me grow and forced me to seek out opportunities like this one, So, yeah.
I have a question for you, Olivia. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you because I loved your presentation. And secondly, I'd like to ask you, what would you like to do in the future? I mean, are you going to go to college? What would you like to study? Can you please tell us something of that?
That's the big question right now. I did mention in my POL that I've always been so interested in learning, and so whenever I learn something new in class or I discover something new, I'm like, oh my god, that would be such a cool career. And the same thing happened when I came here, and Gigi and I were interviewing Lonnie, and I was like, oh man, I want to be Lonnie, that sounds so cool. And
You found your husband
but the honest truth is that I have no idea what I want to do, but there's a couple things that are necessary. Is that I want to work with people, I want to travel, and maybe work with kids. Like I love to work with kids. So yeah, those 2.5 things. Anything else?
Okay, don't leave just yet. I'm throwing a lot of curveballs at you. Let's give her a big round of applause for that. So, something I didn't do last week because we kind of ran out of time, but we do have a little bit of time for this, is oftentimes what we'll do as teachers is we'll stand up, we'll allow the next presenter to prepare and get ready, and what we'll do is step outside with the parents and the student and do a reflection, like a 10-minute reflection with them. However, what I think would be interesting is if we could give Olivia at least 3 celebrations in her presentation, or some piece of feedback that I know everybody wrote, or hopefully is written on there. And if you haven't written on the paper, this might be an opportunity to give feedback or celebrate something from her presentation, so that she has something to walk away with. Yes, Kai? And Elsa? Yes.
I'm very proud of you. And I'm very proud of, we actually had this talk also this morning about your reflection, about yourself, and how you, and yeah, I don't want to go into depth with that, but what I'm proud of is actually that you listen and you learn, and you actually use it. And that's a big thing when you do that, because sometimes when you give people good advice, it's just, but you really listen and you want to do something to do things better, and that's I'm proud of you to do that.
Yeah, I also want to say it was a very, very strong TED talk, you know, and I think it was very touching, and that celebration you gave your parents, and as a young one, giving that so open and so vulnerable, I think it was amazing and very good. And I've been talking to you, and you're really a person who wants to grow, who wants to reflect, and reflects over the things and sees things, and so that's a very big thing to have with you in your travel. So I wish you a very good travel.
So I've been living with you for the past 5 weeks, and has been a great experience for me and for you, I hope. So the thing I loved about your presentation was like that I've heard some of the things you told me about, like we have those late night talks together, and you really like took that into your presentation as a personal thing, to make it more like you made us like look at you, like you said, because it was such a personal thing, and like it made you cry, and I was like almost too, because it's like I can see it means so much to you, so you make it mean a lot to us too. So I just wanted to say it was a very good presentation. Thank you.
I think that was 3 long.
Any other final ones? Right. Yes.
I have never met you before, so it's the first time. But I really, really like when actually people asked questions, because then I could really feel your reflections, which were actually very deep, also considering your age. And it's also got, because then I could actually see the role models' impact on you, because then you said, how have you used your role models? Because that was when you met the students and you were in the situation, and it was also in your reflection when you asked questions. I could really see that the role models, that was the link there. That was enjoyable to listen to very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Sound good?
Yes, let's hear it.